The detention facility on Zirion Prime was considered escape-proof. Built by the Vorthon Empire to hold the galaxy's most dangerous criminals, it boasted energy shields that could repel plasma cannons, neural dampeners that suppressed psychic abilities, and scanner arrays so sophisticated they could detect a single photon blade hidden in a prisoner's DNA. Raza Malik pressed his face against the transparent aluminum of his cell, watching the morning shift change through the corridor. His dark eyes tracked each guard's movement, cataloging their routines with the patience of a predator. Beside him, Naz Qureshi sat cross-legged on the floor, her fingers dancing through what appeared to be simple stretching exercises. "Day 47, Raza murmured. "The Krillian guard with the limp always checks cell block 7 first. 53 seconds between patrol sweeps in Corridor C, Naz added without opening her eyes. The automated systems have a 3-second delay when switching between surveillance zones. They had been captured during humanity's first contact with the Vorthon Empire, a contact that had gone catastrophically wrong. What was meant to be a diplomatic mission had turned into accusations of espionage when human technology proved incompatible with Vorthon scanning protocols. Now they were branded as terrorists, sentenced to life imprisonment on charges they couldn't even comprehend. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. The Vorthons had confiscated every piece of human technology, scanned them with devices that could detect weapons at the molecular level, and stripped them of anything that could possibly be used as a tool or weapon. They had been so thorough that they even analyzed the humans' clothing fibers for hidden nanotechnology. What they hadn't accounted for was evolution. Commander Thrixcon of the Vorthon Imperial Guard was making his weekly inspection when the first anomaly occurred. The human male was standing at his cell door, hands pressed against the energy barrier in what appeared to be casual conversation with a cleaning drone. "Fascinating creatures," Thrixcon observed to his aide. "Look how they constantly manipulate objects with those appendages. Even in captivity, they seem compelled to touch everything." As they watched, Raza's fingers moved in seemingly random patterns against the barrier. To Vorthon eyes, it looked like nervous fidgeting, a sign of psychological stress common among primitive species. They didn't recognize it as pattern recognition and systems analysis. Humans had spent millions of years as persistence hunters, tracking prey across vast distances, reading subtle environmental cues, and adapting to survive in virtually every biome on their planet. Their hands had evolved not just as manipulative organs, but as sophisticated sensory arrays capable of detecting minute vibrations, temperature variations, and structural weaknesses. In another cell, Naz continued her exercises. Her movements appeared to be simple calisthenics, the kind of basic physical maintenance that even primitive species required to prevent muscle atrophy. The guards paid no attention to the way her fingers traced specific points along the walls, or how she systematically tested every surface in her cell. They failed to recognize that she was mapping the facility's entire structural integrity through vibration analysis. The breakthrough came on day 63. "The ventilation system has a resonance frequency of 847.3 Hz, Naz whispered during their daily communication window. The Vorthons allowed prisoners to speak briefly each day, believing that social interaction prevented dangerous psychological deterioration. Raza nodded, his fingers already working against his cell's barrier. "Energy field fluctuates every 4.7 seconds. There's a harmonic cascade if you hit it at the right frequency." "How long? 2 minutes, maybe 3? The backup systems will compensate quickly." That night, as the facility entered its automated sleep cycle, 2 humans began to work with nothing but their hands. Naz positioned herself against the wall she had identified as the primary structural support for their cell block. Her hands moved in rapid, precise strikes, not random violence but calculated pressure applied to specific points. Each impact was timed to coincide with the facility's natural resonance cycle, amplifying the force exponentially. Meanwhile, Raza had discovered something the Vorthon's sophisticated scanners had missed. The energy barriers were designed to repel projectiles and energy weapons, but they operated on a principle similar to Earth's old magnetic levitation systems. By creating specific electromagnetic patterns with the trace metals in his body, controlled through precise muscle movements and bioelectric manipulation, he could create destructive interference. The first barrier failed at exactly 0347 hours facility time. The second fell 30 seconds later. Commander Thrixcon was roused from sleep by alarms he had never heard before. As he rushed to the control center, his aide reported what their instruments were detecting. "Sir, it appears to be some kind of localized seismic event. Structural integrity is compromised in cell blocks 7 through 12. Impossible. This facility was built to withstand planetary bombardment." "Yes, sir, but the damage patterns are unusual. It's as if something is creating resonance cascades in the support structures." Through the facility's corridors, two humans moved like shadows. Raza's hands traced ventilation grates and security panels, his fingertips reading electronic signatures like a blind person reading Braille. Niaz moved with the fluid precision of someone who understood exactly how much force was needed to disable a lock, collapse a corridor, or redirect a security sensor. They encountered their first guards at Junction 7 Alpha. The Vorthans were a proud species, warriors who had conquered 17 star systems through superior technology and tactical brilliance. They carried weapons that could vaporize a building, wore armor that could deflect antimatter rounds, and possessed reflexes enhanced by military-grade neural implants, none of which helped them against two humans fighting with nothing but their hands. Raza moved like water, redirecting energy weapon fire with carefully angled strikes that sent plasma bolts ricocheting into the facility's own security systems. Naz flowed around their attacks, her hands finding pressure points and structural vulnerabilities that a million years of Vorthon evolution had never prepared them for. In 30 seconds, 6 guards lay unconscious, their weapons and armor disabled by precise strikes that had bypassed every defensive system they possessed. The facility's AI began broadcasting warnings about unknown weapons deployment, desperately trying to categorize the human's capabilities within its established threat parameters. Its scanners detected no energy signatures, no foreign technology, no anomalous materials, only 2 biological entities moving through the facility with impossible efficiency. Commander Thrixkan finally understood, as he watched security footage of the 2 humans systematically dismantling his impregnable fortress. "They're not using weapons," he whispered. "They are the weapons." By dawn, Raza and Naz stood in the facility's primary hangar, next to a commandeered transport vessel. Behind them, the galaxy's most secure prison was systematically shutting down as its compromised systems failed one by one. "The Galactic Council won't believe this," Naz observed, running her hands over the ship's control systems. Already, she could feel the patterns of its operation through subtle vibrations and thermal variations. Raza smiled, his fingers dancing across what the Vorthans thought was a complex navigation computer. To him, it was just another puzzle to solve through touch and intuition. "Let them scan us again when we reach Earth. They still won't find any weapons." As their stolen ship lifted off into the stars, carrying news of humanity's first contact with galactic civilization, the Vorthans were left to contemplate a troubling new reality. They had encountered a species that could turn anything, even their own bodies, into tools of impossible precision and devastating effectiveness. The galaxy's most sophisticated civilizations had spent eons developing technology to make warfare more efficient, more deadly, more decisive. They had forgotten that somewhere in the universe there might be a species that had never stopped being weapons themselves. The humans were coming to the stars, and they were bringing their hands with them.